Finally, a week of domination at Lambeau. On top of that, the Packers are officially the number one seed in the NFC, and all kinds of records were broken this week. We'll discuss that along with feedback from the greatest Packers community out there, all coming up next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Happy New Year to you and yours. Welcome to 2022. I'm Wayne Henderson from MediaVoiceovers.com, and that was a beautiful game with a fabulous yet still dramatic narrative that kept me engaged.
And I'm Scott Clark from The Gaming Outsider. And Wayne, didn't it feel great to have a stress-free game this week?
Yes, very much so. I hope all the rest of them are like this.
Exactly. Boy, what a redemption game this was, and it sure feels good to know that, with a little help from the Cardinals, the path to the Super Bowl will go through Lambeau Field. On this 246th episode of the Packers Fan Podcast, Wayne and I will recap Green Bay's huge win over the Vikings, and you guys all started the year strong with great voice messages and more. We'll share your thoughts in just a little bit.
And then it's time to preview the Packers' regular season finale in Detroit, including Scott's keys to a Packers victory. So let's dig into this game. I'm still living all the highlights over and over and over in my head. Highlights from the Packers' victory over the Purple Ones. And I'm going to start with the running game. That was just part of it, but it was so good to see Aaron Jones. He had some excellent runs in the first half. A.J. Dillon had some beautiful runs in the second half. And both of these guys also make great fashion choices when they arrive to the stadiums on game day. Aaron Jones, of course, with the sombrero. And this week, A.J. Dillon's shown up wearing coveralls with no shirt underneath.
I just love seeing these two guys just getting into the culture and loving to be a part of the Packers team. It reminds me of back in the day when, oh my goodness, what was his name? A.J. Hawk and Clay Matthews used to mess with Rodgers behind when he was getting interviewed at the end of the games and stuff. Just seeing them just do fun things and enjoying football is just so much fun to see. And even though it was only 3 points, it was great to get the first points of the game from Mason Crosby with 3 different field goals. Apparently, whatever the trouble was in the middle of the season, it has been fixed. And he even completed one of those kicks after it looked like the ball wasn't going to be placed correctly. Bajorquez kind of pulled it down and then picked it back up and put it back down right before Mason kicked it, and he stayed cool under pressure. That made me a little nervous just because, we kind of get that question marks in our heads going whenever we see him go up to do a kick, but he pulled all 3 of them off this week, and it was very good to see.
That did make me a little nervous as well. I'm like, what is going on? Oh, it's good. Okay. Whew. And the extra points, they were all good as well after the touchdown. So, Mason, we knew you had it in you. And our defense forcing 5 3-and-outs in a row against the Vikings, which
in a row?
I think it was in a row, and it
was.
Scott. And not only is it great for our defense to do that, but I'm sure that it makes the Vikings defense on the sidelines going, oh, great. We just sat down to catch our breath, and we're going back out there. We held the Vikings to only 11 first downs, 206 yards of combined offense, and 21 minutes and 27 seconds of possession for the entire game. And Minnesota didn't cross Green Bay's 30-yard line until the third quarter, and by that time, the score was already 30-3. And from Vikings fans, I don't want to hear anything about, Kirk Cousins was We held Dalvin Cook to 9 carries for 13 yards.
It was really impressive to see. And yes, I understand that Kirk Cousins wasn't there, and that was definitely a factor of the game. I will say Mannion looked pretty good in the first half of the game. They just couldn't convert on 3rd and 4th downs, unfortunately for them. I was surprised by him. I was not expecting a great performance, and he was scrambling. He even pulled like an Aaron Rodgers by hiking the ball and immediately just tossing it over the defender to the right. He made some pretty impressive plays, just thankfully it wasn't enough to pull out a W for them. But we got the W, and that came on the heels of 4 completely memorable touchdowns, 1 by Adam Lazard, 1 by Devontae Adams, and 2 by A.J. Dillon, which all 4 of them were just so much fun to see.
Yeah, they were. They were all very unique. My favorite out of the bunch was the last one, A.J. Dillon's touchdown near the end of the game. He just kept moving and then wrapped it up with one of his more spectacular Lambeau leaps. You could tell he was having fun. And people have been trying to read his lips, and I think when he's up there, I got to go watch it again. I've been too busy prepping for the show and working stuff, but I think he said, "Let's effing go."
Yeah, that sounds about right. And it's amazing watching these guys do that Lambeau leap because it doesn't look that high on television. But if you've ever seen it, that is quite a jump. And he cleared it. His butt was over that top cushion by a good 1.5 feet before he finally came down and landed in the crowd. His vertical leap was insane, and you can just tell he's just living that moment up. It is so good to have awesome running backs on our team. It's just I'm so excited.
Yeah, and they have so much personality. Another great highlight for me anyway, near the end of the game, Jordan Love was getting some good gameplay action, a fair amount of time to show what he could do, and he did look a lot better to me than he did in the game earlier this season.
I agree. A little bit more fundamental. I mean, he was more or less doing the victory formation, not just one play formation, but the victory series, I guess is a better way to say it. And yeah, he was solid. I mean, nothing. He didn't need to do anything explosive. He didn't need to save the game or anything like that. But he did what a closing quarterback needed to do, and it gives me hope for the future because, as much as we hate to think about it, Rodgers is not going to be with us forever, and the future of the Packers is going to fall on his shoulders more than likely. So it's good to see him do some fundamental things for the team. And speaking of teams, let's go and move on to special teams. The Packers picked up David Moore from the Broncos practice squad this past week. He was released from them 2 months ago and came in his first game as a Packer and had the longest punt return of the season, which was only 21 yards. It's kind of sad to say that that's our longest punt return, but hey, it is what it is. And it actually wound up being an extra 15 on top of that because of a penalty. So good to see our special teams did not do anything scary this week.
That's one way to put it.
I think the quote I used in the Facebook community when we were watching the game together last night, when we were receiving a kick and it bounced first. And I think the quote I said was, did anybody else's butt clench up when that ball hit the ground, was on there a little bit too long? Because I didn't see if it hit anybody. I was worried that we were getting a turnover right there, and made me a little nervous. But
I think I believe it was listener Dan that has used a phrase for special teams in the past, calling it a fecal fest. So
fecal fest. There you go.
But that's all in the past. We are peaking at the right time.
Absolutely. I mean, the perfect time would be, in the playoffs, but I will definitely take it here, especially with the help that we got from the Cardinals taking out the Cowboys, which was, I was not expecting that.
You weren't?
Not expecting that at all. No.
I kind of was, because you look at, everybody was talking about how great the Cowboys have been doing, rolling up all these points and over the past month. And then you look at who they played. It was the Washington football team twice, and the Saints, they're having all kinds of troubles, and another substandard team. I had a feeling when they played a team who had almost the same record as them, might be different, and it was.
And it sure was.
Which gives me hope for when things turn out that the Cowboys might be coming to Lambeau Field in the playoffs. We got
Could you imagine a redo of the Ice Bowl, even though it's not going to be the Super Bowl? I know that can't happen, but Ice Bowl it up, and McCarthy coming back to Lambeau. That, man, the media's going to love that. Yeah, that would be huge if that would happen. Well, let's wrap up the positivity here with some records. Lots of records broken at this game. First off, the Packers are officially the first team in the NFL to win at least 13 games in 3 consecutive seasons, ever. That's never happened before. And on top of that, Matt LaFleur won his 39th career win, breaking George Seifert's record for most wins in a coach's first 3 seasons. And there's still one more game to go, so that he could even extend that record even more. And finally, Aaron Rodgers, 12 games this season with multiple touchdown passes and 0 interceptions. That broke his own record, which took place in both 2014 and 2020, and even broke Tom Brady's record, who he had the same record back in 2010. So that is a pretty impressive stat as well.
Wow. A 3-way tie, and now AR-12 doesn't even have to share it with himself. He's all alone. That's awesome.
And he got to do it before Week 18. Before all the stats kind of get muddled here in the next few years. Players
being rested, and the fact that it's a whole another game that you can get more stats. And so everybody who played way back in the day when we only played 16 games,
Yeah. Speaking of, I was watching. I can't remember which game I was watching, but Greg Olson was the announcer, and they were honoring Madden. I don't know if you saw the same game I did, but they played a clip where Madden was commenting on Greg Olson's touchdown in the end zone that he caught. You probably saw all kinds of stuff like that all weekend, which hey, we should have. But it was interesting because the catch that Olson caught, he only had 1 foot in bounds, and I completely forgot that he only had to have 1 foot in bounds for it to be considered a catch back in the day. I don't know how long it's been off the top of my head since you had to have both feet, but it just makes sense to me to have both feet. That just makes it's just so standard for me now. But I don't. That was just kind of a fun flashback to the times when the game was a completely different game.
And it wasn't that long ago because we saw those games. Yeah, you could be pushed out of bounds, and they're like, "Well, we're going to say that he would have been in if he hadn't have been pushed." And it's like, let's just get the feet down.
Yeah. Well, we do have to talk about some lowlights, although thankfully they are pretty much non-existent this week. But let's talk about the red zone a little bit. Down in the red zone, we went for it on 4th down and didn't get the touchdown. And I know we have had lots of calls this year where we've gone for it on 4th down and we've gone back and forth about whether we should or shouldn't have. This one, I was chalking up even before they pulled the play that they shouldn't have. In the words of Troy Aikman, I like points. And
those are bold words, Troy Aikman.
Yeah, and it just, I don't know. I think it's not just the Packers. It is a thing going on in the league this year.
It is a thing, yeah.
Like going for it on 4th down has just become the standard almost. I don't know. It's frustrating as a guy that grew up playing Madden and Blitz with my brother. It was just like a rule. You just always punted on 4th down, and then my brother always broke that rule, and it frustrated me. No, you get 3 tries, not 4. But hey, that's the rules of the game.
Imagine playing in the CFL where you only get 3 downs.
Yeah, exactly.
But I liked going for it on 4th down. I did not like that we didn't get it, and that's partially because of a non-call for defensive pass interference.
Wah, wah.
One of many in the game. Of course, that's not the reason that we didn't win, because we won. In spite of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just the penalties thing.
Now, they were pretty blatant, but in all seriousness, they were down 1 referee for almost the entire game. Have you heard any updates how that referee's doing that was bent over and then went into the tent and then went into the locker room, never to be seen again?
I have not been able to find anything on him. I didn't even catch his name. I feel bad.
Neither,
I should know his name, but it was kind of scary. Like he went, like you said, he kind of hunched over, put his hands on his knees. I don't know what the issue was, but I learned an interesting fact from that ordeal that the officials wind up going into the tents of the home team. You know, it's just like a standard operating procedure.
Unless the Cowboys are in town and bring their own custom tents to go with their sideline equipment. I'm just kidding.
Sure. But yeah, I mean, that wasn't the only time we had issues in the red zone. It felt like we were just going to have nothing but field goals the entire game. Seriously, this game, I felt like we should have been up 20-0 in the first or second quarter. We had so many opportunities, and just those 3rd downs were killing us there inside the red zone. And but hey, points are points. But it could have been 9-0 instead of 6-0, and it is what it is. Also, it's worth noting that this has become a thing this season where we just seem to be getting a late start when it comes to really firing on all cylinders and doing some consecutive scoring. It seems like we kind of start to wake up either late in the second quarter or early in the third quarter. But when we get to the playoffs, the Pack needs to get the offense moving right away. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at more heart attack-inducing games, and nobody wants that. I mean, sure, if it winds up with a win, great, but I would just love some nice, comfortable games going into the playoffs. I don't know about you.
Me too. I agree 100%. And although it could have been an earlier start to points, I do feel like in this last game against the Vikings, we did start to fire on all cylinders much sooner than we have been. So I think we're trending in the right direction, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Very true. As long as it just happens earlier and earlier each game, I'll be very, very happy. All right, let's move on to some listener feedback. Want to remind everybody that we do love you, and we love hearing your voices even more. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can leave us a voicemail at 920-3PACK-GO, or you can send your voice messages to feedback@PackersFanPodcast.com to be part of next week's show. That's for those people that like to, pre-record their message instead of doing it live to tape, as it were, on a voicemail line. The deadline this week is going to be Sunday night at midnight Pacific time, so please be sure to get those in. Wayne, who do we hear from this week?
13-3, baby, for the third year in a row. Can anyone say Coach of the Year? I don't know if I sound like a broken record, but he is. He should be. He should have been. Matt LaFleur for Coach of the Year. This is Megan. I adjusted off my schedule at work, so I'm on my way to the hospital now so that I can watch the game. And if there's anything that's going to get you through a night shift, it's that when the offense is clicking. The defense was clicking. Special teams was good, honestly. Can we give them credit? Yeah. Instead of saying they weren't bad, I mean, honestly, this was like a team win. It was great. The first penalty didn't come until like a minute and a half left in the game. Aaron, didn't get touched. Happy birthday, Ash, by the way. A.J. Dillon on fire, Aaron Jones on fire, Allen Devontae, Aaron Rodgers. Oh my gosh, amazing. I'm so happy to be a Packer fan. Number one, baby, let's go! Oh, also the only other thing I have to say is the only downside of first round bye, not to everyone who's going to take this horribly, who's not a Packer fan, but sucks to suck. The only thing that sucks with having the first round bye is one less week of watching the best team on earth, but it's all good. A week more to rest up, boys. Let's go! Bring on Detroit, and let's freaking go!
Thanks so much, Megan. Love hearing from you, as always. I did not expect her to end with that. I thought that was going in someplace different, talking about coming out of the bye. But yeah, one less week to watch the best team on earth. It is weird when there's not a game to watch and you kind of have football on in the background, just whatever. I'm not super invested in any of these games. Which one is going to help me with my team get there? But yeah, she also made some good points about the offense and defense clicking, actually offense, defense, and special teams. She started off by saying they were okay, but they were great. I didn't see any mistakes. We had an almost mistake, or what felt like it was going to be a mistake that one time you mentioned above, but I'm very happy with the performance. Let's hope that keeps rolling for sure.
Yes. Awesome to hear from you, Megan. And yeah, so many players are on fire. We could just go through a list of pretty much 80% of the roster. And so it's so good. And aren't we so deprived that we're going to miss a week of seeing the greatest team playing the NFL?
Yeah.
But it'll be worth it. Hang in there, Megan. It's going to be worth it when we come back from that week off and we host somebody at Lambeau Field and keep marching towards the Super Bowl.
Go, 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 Packer! Number one seed in the NFC. Number one seed in the NFC. All roads to the Super Bowl in the NFC go through Lambeau Field. Oh, wow. What a dominating performance. It's what I expected. It's what I'd hoped for. I think it's what all of us were thinking of, we were capable of this whole season. Other than that, the shutout we had about 3 weeks ago, I think it was. Oh, wow! Excuse my cough. I'm getting over the COVID. Still got a little bit of a cough, but I am feeling great. This win makes me feel even better. This enhances my healing process. This is I can't say enough. I can't say enough. The defense showed up, the offense showed up, the special teams didn't muff a punt. Only thing I know is we are the number one seed in the NFC. Rodgers will have an opportunity to rest his broken pinky toe. All those other defensive starters will have the opportunity to come back, practice. A lot of them were activated this week. I think I saw 5 defensive starters were activated off the inactive roster this week, along with Bakhtiari. You got, Jair Alexander. Stokes was back today, and he did well. Excuse me. I just can't say enough good about this game. It just made me feel so good going into the postseason. Next week's basically going to be a preseason game from what it sounds like. It sounds like they're going to be starting a lot of the second stringers, giving some of the first round guys their first string players some rest, an opportunity to heal and to recuperate. And then they're going to have another week before they even have to go into another a game. And that's the only thing that concerns me. Like, it seems like a lot of teams that have the first round bye don't always fare so well. So, but I know Matt LaFleur, he just seems to have his team ready. This team is hungry. This team is chomping at the bit. They want to go. They want to go to LA. They want to get this Super Bowl, and we're gonna daggone go. And we're going to the doggone Super Bowl. Let's go. Go Pack, go. Go Pack, go. Go Pack, go.
Go, Pat, go! Indeed, Dan Dyler, a.k.a. Pack Sparrow, giving us a call even while recuperating from COVID. Dedication right there, Scott. Dedication, I tell you.
Absolutely. Just as dedicated as our Packers are this end of the season. So thanks for calling in, man. I know that's got to be rough on your throat, and hope you get a speedy recovery, man. I don't like hearing it when somebody is sick, for sure.
Yes, please. Feel better soon. Everybody that's struggling with all the illnesses going around. But, Dan, get over that COVID. The Packers need that voice. The go, Pack, go. And, yes, number one seed in all the NFC. And Dan knew we were capable of that domination.
I mean, I think we all knew we were expecting that domination the first time we played the Vikings, right? We were kind of blindsided by that loss.
Yeah, I admit I was expecting domination when we had to go to Jacksonville to play the Saints in the heat and humidity and all the crazy last-minute nonsense. But that's all in the past. We are still the number one seed, and it's good to hear that victory is helping with the healing process. And, yeah, we can't forget, it wasn't really brought up in this game, but Rodgers still does have a pinky toe injury that he says is not going to go away, at least until after the season's over. So he gets a week to heal. That's a good thing.
It's an extra week to heal because really with the bye, we get 2 weeks until the next game. So it's kind of like almost like 3 weeks. So hopefully that thing is good to go by then.
I don't know. I know, Dan, you mentioned that there's rumors that some starters may not play in Detroit or may not play much. But I don't know. Coach LaFleur came out today saying we are going into Detroit to win, which makes it sound to me like the starters are going to play for at least a chunk of the game.
I'd say it's a possibility, but man, with Rodgers having, I know he said that toe is feeling the best it's been in a while. He said that 2 weeks ago as well, when it got stepped on. Or not 2 weeks, but last week.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll never know the full story, but I will be very, very surprised if Rodgers plays a snap this game. There's too much resting on him in terms of postseason potential, and I know LaFleur wants to win. I don't think he's doing this to extend his record. I really don't think that he's worried about that. He doesn't come across as a guy that's trying to pad his own stats or whatever. But I know he wants to win. He wants that win more for momentum and for team morale going into the playoffs. Nobody wants to go into the playoffs having lost the last game
to the Lions.
Yeah, to the Lions. I mean that would be rough. But I'll still be surprised if we get a lot of them playing.
And on the other hand, Dan did make a great point that he is concerned we may get rusty after the bye. So we'll see. We've got a little bit more about the starters in Detroit coming up with our poll question and some great feedback as well. But back to the listener lines at 920-3-PACK-GO.
Go, Pack, go! Go, Pack, go! Hey, guys, it's Andre in LA. Happy New Year. Glad the Packers won. I'm a little bit more quiet because it's the middle of the night. I kept calling to try to get through. I was going to make a joke about, thank God we don't have AB on the team, but I just want to talk about the Packers' victory. I'm excited for the playoffs. We look great. This game was such a domination. It was almost unwatchable, but still watchable because it was great to see A.J. Dillon do well. Rodgers looked incredible. Devontae Adams, I mean, my God. Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be the MVP, but Devontae Adams has solidified himself as the number one receiver. Matt LaFleur has been tremendous since we got him. The defensive coordinator, I know we let go of our longtime D coordinator and went with a different person, and it's turned out well. Our defense looks incredible this year. I'm ready for the playoffs. I'd love to hear what all the fans got to say. Love you guys. Andre LA, sorry the Go Pack Go is not too loud, but I've been trying to get through for the past couple of weeks. Happy New Year, everybody. Let's go, playoffs.
What's up, Andre? So good to hear from you. I feel like it's been a while, like you said, but glad you're alive and well. We were starting to wonder if we should be worried because we hadn't heard from you in about 2 weeks. So,
yeah, I definitely reached out to Andre just to make sure. And I guess from what I was able to track down today, I guess something to do with how the telephone systems and the numbers are set up here in America. There's kind of been a long grace period, but now when you dial almost any number, you have to dial 1 and the area code and the phone number. Of course, you can build it right into your speed dial in your phone, but so 1-920-3-PACK-GO, and I think that might have been what was throwing him off, but it's so good that we got that sorted out and we heard from you, Andre. So good. And domination, like Dan said, and like you said, domination, that's a great word to use when you're talking about a Packers victory.
Absolutely. It was a great win, like Andre said. He had positive things to say about Dillon, Adams, and Rodgers as well. And it's the first time we've really mentioned a new defensive coordinator in quite a while. I mean, I feel like we've been cursing whoever's name it is in that position for so long, and we haven't mentioned it at all. Like we've just been so flabbergasted by the quality of the defense, and and it's not just one player. You know what I mean? Like I'm used to it always being Clay Matthews back in the day. You know what I mean? He was always the guy getting the cast. I've got the Smiths. We've got Gary. We've got all these players in the secondaries and Stokes. I know Alexander didn't play this week, but he's been solid back when he was on the field. We've got recognizable talent on the defensive side of the ball, and the credit goes to the players as well as the coaching. And so good of you to say so, Andre.
Hey guys, Mark from New Lisbon. Just calling in Sunday night after the Packers win. Boy, what a season they've had. And they're the first team in NFL history to win 13 games 3 years in a row, and they're probably going to win 14. But it seems like we're not going to have a real Packer game till 3 weeks, January 22nd. So that's a long time to wait. But it's pretty exciting now. You just get the feeling that this team is primed for a deep playoff run and hopefully a Super Bowl, fingers crossed. So, the one guy I think nobody talks about, the guy who, put the team together, Ryan Gutekunst. I mean, has the dude made a bad move since August? I mean, everything he's done has worked out. People blame him from Rodgers, but we're not going to get into that. So kudos to Gutekunst for just putting this team together. The depth on this team is just amazing. Now, next week, the big question is how much are they going to play Rodgers? And I'm just thinking of the scenario where Rodgers wants to play, but LaFleur doesn't want to play him. Are they going to compromise? If you don't play Rodgers, the downside is, he's going to basically sit 3 weeks. And so they have a lot of decisions to make. I think Tony Dungy has always said it's best to play everybody, because I think he got burned by sitting 1 year when Peyton Manning and them were the number 1 seed. So it's been a great season. We just have to cap it off. Go Pack Go. Thanks for taking my call. You guys have a great podcast, Scott and Wayne, and thanks for doing it. And I just hit the 2-minute mark. So talk to you next week. Bye.
Mark in New Lisbon, by the way, Scott. That's in Wisconsin. Mark, we really appreciate your call. Giving us a call at +1-920-3-PACK-GO. And thank you so very much for all of the kind words and listening to the show and calling in. And I think the best point of that whole call was this team is primed for a long playoff run. And Mark, I love to hear things like that.
Yeah, especially with this long extended break that we've got till our next game, it gives everybody time to rest up. I mean, we still didn't see Bakhtiari this game. Once again, when is Bakhtiari going to be? Although he was practicing this past week, or is it this week? So again, fingers crossed by the 22nd. It would be great to have him back in the lineup. Oh, it could just be a great first week of playoffs for sure. Looking forward to it. It's also interesting to hear what Mark had to say about what Rodgers wants. I didn't think about it from this angle.
Me neither.
Because, what does Rodgers want? And as much as I love the guy, he is a little bit of a prima donna, let's be honest. And it's going to be a thing where, do you make him angry, or do you compromise, or do you let him play? Because he's going to want to play. But, man, could you just imagine? It's like no matter what he does, he's going to get somebody angry. You know what I mean? If he plays him and he gets hurt, he's never going to hear the end of it. If he doesn't play him, Rodgers is going to give him a hard time, and the fans are going to be upset because they didn't get to see Rodgers play. There's no pleasing everybody, and I think LaFleur's obviously proven that he knows what he's doing, and we should just follow whatever he says goes.
Maybe.
Go with it.
I mean, we definitely should go with what the coach says, but we don't know for sure that Rodgers is going to insist on playing or ask to play. Maybe even Rodgers realized, my toe needs a break.
I just wouldn't put it past him, is all I'm saying.
Well, okay. That's fair enough. But like Tony Dungy said, Mark brought it up. And yes, props to Gutekunst. Doing great things really since August. There was all that stuff in the offseason. Like Mark said, we're not going to talk about that now. But bringing a lot of depth to the team. I mean, just bringing in Rasul Douglas, that was a nice move. And all these other players, it's quite the team. It's so
Absolutely.
good. So props, man, props.
David Moore, too. Actually, I know we only had one solid play, which wasn't like an explosive play, but
we'll take it.
It's the best thing we've got from special teams in a while. So, kudos to him for sure. Yes. And by the way, I know he quoted Tony Dungy. I just want to say on a side note, I really love Tony Dungy. Just everything that he just seems like the most earnest, genuinely passionate about football, but also kind and soft-spoken. So many analysts just get in your face or staring at the camera with this intensity, and he's just so calm and relaxing. I just love watching him talk about football. He's one of my favorite newscasters for sure.
Agreed. Now to our weekly poll in our Facebook group at PackersCommunity.com. And if you're not already a member, we would love to have you join in. We're also on Twitter at Packers Fan Pod. So the question this week, kind of opening up a little bit of a can of worms. Would you prefer the Packers play Aaron Rodgers and most of the starters next week in Detroit? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. And if you do, no more than like half a quarter. Like get in there just to, keep the wheels moving and grease those muscles and joints and all that, keep them loose. But I mean, you can also do that in practice, but I understand it's a completely different thing against the team, but I want to keep that team as rested as possible. Not that the secondary and third string players are dispensable. I don't mean it to sound like that way, but
no.
we've been so banged up and still been so powerful. I want to go into the playoffs as healthy as possible, just to steamroll our way through, because anything could happen at this point, and I want that team healthy. So if anything does happen, we still have solid players available in the backup. So I say not play them, or play them as little as possible.
I hear you. I'm going to say definitely play them, at least some.
Okay.
And I should have been a little more flexible with the question instead of just yes or no. I should have said, yes, but only for a little while. So I apologize for not thinking that out ahead of time, but that is what it is. But the listener comments to the poll bring everything into phase, because 74% of them said no and 26% said yes.
It would be interesting if we could do that, like you said, break it down into a yes but and a no but as well. But I guess, hey, it's okay. 74% are with me, so I'll take it. And speaking of the poll, we had some comments on there as well. First one came from Mark E. He said, maybe play some of the starters at half, but definitely sit Aaron Rodgers and Adams the whole game. That's an interesting way to look at it. Keep Rodgers and Adams, but everybody else, it's okay to risk them.
Wow, Scott.
I don't know. I don't know how to take that. Jared said, I can see the argument for keeping them in rhythm, but we have so many guys injured, I'd hate to risk having to dig much deeper into the practice squad right before the playoffs. Jared is I'm with you 100%. I don't want to dig any more than we have to, and I don't want to be wondering in the playoffs if we're at full capacity. I would rather be full capacity in the playoffs.
Well put, well put. And David, with a slightly different angle that I hadn't thought about, there will be guys that'll play for incentives, like Preston Smith, but they should rest a lot of guys, especially the ones with nagging injuries. I think it's more important to get guys practice more so than play in the game. I would like to see Adams play a series or two to beat Jordy's franchise record for most receiving yards, since he only needs 20.
I think it's 22, but yeah.
Close enough. He'll probably get one 50-yard play and boom, done.
All right, he's done. Got that. Give him the game ball. He's fine.
And Garrett says, play the starters the first quarter. Create new wrinkles that defenses have to prepare for. The starters need to end on a high note. This team hasn't played its best ball. I think it needs some reps before the playoffs and show that they have figured out how to start fast. Thank you, Garrett.
Dan Dyler also commented and said, I say no to Rodgers and those nursing injuries. Those who are healthy and coming off injury, I feel it's imperative they start or at least play a half to knock off the rust. That's an interesting way to look at it. If you're hurt, nope. If you're fine, you're definitely playing. It's like Fight Club. You have to fight.
Don't you know the first rule about Fight Club?
Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to talk about it.
Whiz.
And the second rule is I'm not supposed to talk about it. We had some other great posts and comments unrelated to the poll question over at Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group, which you can find at packerscommunity.com. First off, Dan Dyler shared a photo of the progress of his 3D puzzle of Lambeau Field. That thing is looking pretty sweet. It's just kind of the base, the foundation, so to speak. I asked him for the link because I'm really close to pulling the trigger on that myself, because it just looks like it would be a lot of fun to put together and then just be something pretty cool to display down in my man cave.
A quick question. Did you see in the picture that there were tweezers in the photo to kind of show scale?
I did not notice the tweezers. No, they're super tiny pieces.
Yes. How good are you with tweezers?
Pretty good, man. I'm
okay,
pretty good
go
at
for
crafting.
it. Spend the money.
Yeah.
Let's build one.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm all about it. Also, Caleb was showing off some of his cool Packers swag that he wears on game days. Always good to see people in their apparel.
And there's a really touching video of a man being surprised with his Christmas gift. I guess he had no idea that his family was giving him Packers ownership stock. And that was a great video to watch, because I don't think you could fake that much of a surprise. And thank you to Dan for posting that video in the group. And there was these things, and there was a lot of other cool goodness going on as well in the community group. And, of course, especially the live discussion thread that we have on game day. Might be a little different this week against the Lions, but, we're getting warmed up for the playoffs, and we love all the discussions, the highs and lows that go on there. So, again, join the Facebook group. Be part of the conversation. Let your voice be heard. Again, that's packerscommunity.com. And if you're looking to buy any officially licensed Packers jerseys, caps, other playoff goodies that might be coming out, you know that Fanatics is the place to go, and we do have a Fanatics.com affiliate link. Just go to PackersFanPodcast.com on your desktop. You'll see the link, the image, and a easy-peasy QR code. If you're looking to buy any and you want to help us out, we get a little kickback if you buy anything through our link.
Moving on, let's go to some emails. We got a couple here. First one says, hello, Wayne and Scott. This is Caleb, Kathy, and Roy Fisher from Titletown, USA. Great win for our Green Bay Packers. Holding Dalvin Cook to no touchdowns and seeing Aaron Rodgers doing well with running the ball as well as throwing the ball. We're all fantastic. And we will love to say, way to go, undefeated at home. And we hope Green Bay will rest most of their players next week. Aaron Rodgers should get the MVP award. Go, Pack, go. Bleed green and gold till dead and cold. CCR. Thank you so much. I didn't even realize that were we undefeated at home? We were undefeated at home the entire season, weren't we?
I think I saw a stat near the end of the game last night that we're the only team to be undefeated at home, which doesn't
here's
seem
to hoping
possible.
that continues.
Yeah, if we can keep that up for 2 more games. Well, hey.
Well, yeah, we lost to the Saints down in Florida.
No, we didn't lose. We didn't have enough points when time ran out, Scott. You know how this works.
Okay.
Also got an email from Jared in Colorado. The Pack finally put up a statement game with an absolute blowout of the Vikings. They clinched the number 1 seed, knocked Minnesota's playoff hopes out the window, and LaFleur is now the winningest coach through their first 3 seasons in NFL history, beating George Seifert's record. It's a special, historic year, and I can't wait to see the NFC playoffs flow through the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
For sure. Thank you so much, Jared, for that email. Do appreciate it. And as always, your calls, emails, comments, and support are so much a part of the Packers Fan Podcast. Thank you. Remember that you can join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community and be part of the conversations. Just head over to packerscommunity.com.
And now, let's get ready because your 13-3 Green Bay Packers are headed to Detroit to play the 13-1 Lions at my favorite time for football, 12 noon Central, Sunday, January 9th, 2022. Packers lead the series 105-72 and 7 ties. And how much would you like it if the Packers scored over 40 points in the first quarter on Sunday?
That would be fantastic. If we could do that every week, it'd be great. But we got to get things going in the first quarter to make that happen, if you know what I'm saying.
Only one team has ever put up 41 points in a single quarter, and it was Green Bay. On October 7th, 1945, the final in that game, Packers 57, Lions 21. I normally don't like repeats on TV, but something like that, 2 thumbs up from this guy. Another historic game between these two rivals. I remember watching this one, Scott. On New Year's Eve, 1994, for the second year in a row, the Packers and Lions actually met each other in the playoffs. Yeah, the Lions were in the playoffs. This one was at Lambeau Field. The Packers won 16-12, and the major achievement in the game was our defense holding the legendary running back Barry Sanders to a total of -1 yards rushing.
Fantastic. What's interesting is they also faced them in the playoffs that same year, the previous season, and won that game as well. That's the last 2 times that the Packers and Lions faced off each other in the postseason, and they won both times.
Well, hey, there you go. And obviously, the last-second Hail Mary game with Aaron Rodgers is a recent favorite. Do you, Scott, have a fun fact memory about the rivalry between the Detroit Lions?
I do have them, but I got to tell you about that one you just talked about, the Hail Mary. I was at a bar watching that game, and we had our coats on. Like, we were going to stay and watch this Hail Mary that never happens. We were all standing at our tables. Our bills were signed, and we just watched this play, and then it went off. The bar exploded, man. I think even Bears fans thought that was pretty cool. So what a great game. But in other memories, in 2008, the worst record in history was sealed by the Green Bay Packers. The Packers and Lions went into Week 17 with Detroit holding an 0-15 record. Green Bay went on to win that game 31-21, disallowing the Lions' hopes of a single win that entire year. Needless to say, Detroit got the first-round pick in the draft the following year.
There's no disputing it that year. So now we need the team to go 0-17 to break that record.
I know, right? Now that record can be broken. So,
and the weather this coming Sunday is, never mind, it's going to be indoors in Detroit. Wah, wah.
That's all right, though. Hey, it won't be cold, which they know the Packers play well in cold weather, but, it's still in the north, so we can kind of channel some of that tundra being over in Michigan. But moving on, here are my keys to a Packers victory over the Lions. First off, number 1, no unnecessary risks. We all know that the Packers don't need to win this game. In the words of Joey Tribbiani, it's a moot point. Now, while I understand that momentum is very important, there's no reason to risk injury to any key players, and there's no need to do any fourth quarter heroics. Play to win, but also play to stay healthy in the playoffs. The last thing we need is someone suffering an injury that an extra week simply won't fix. Number 2, play the first quarter like it's the third. Enough with the slow starts. Rack up those points early on instead of waiting for halftime. Nothing will boost the team's morale more than another divisional domination heading into the playoffs, especially since the Green and Gold don't have a great track record coming out of a bye. They'll need all the momentum they can muster. Lastly, we need some positivity from LaFleur, and thankfully, he's already really good at this. But look, no one here wants the Packers to lose, but we need to accept the fact that it is possible it could happen. And if it does, it's not the end of the world. Coach needs to prepare his team mentally so that they understand that safety is far more important than that momentum that we all want. He should repeatedly stress to the team that a loss here is acceptable. With that said, the Lions are only playing for pride and draft order at this point. It truly depends on which is more important to the Detroit management, as a loss would secure them the number 1 pick next season. Then again, players are more apt to play for pride, and the Pack should expect this team to play with a vengeance. And there you have it.
I love those, Scott. Excellent work on the keys to victory. And yeah, we don't know what to expect from this Detroit Lions team. But if, say, for example, if Jordan Love starts and plays the whole game and breaks Matt Flynn's previous record of touchdowns by a Packers backup quarterback filling in for a game, I'm all for that as well.
Yeah, that'd be, hey, more records to break, dude. I'm all about that for sure.
And speaking of Matt Flynn, did you see the screenshot of his Twitter exchange with, I guess, a troll? He was talking about something, and a troll said, "Hey, Matt, do you remember when the Seahawks gave you all that money?" And I love his response. He's like, "Hell yeah, I remember. That was awesome."
So good. All right, well, our game score predictions. Last week, I predicted that the Packers would win 30-24, and Wayne predicted that the Packers would win 31-22. The final score was shockingly 37-10. We both gave the Vikings too much credit, but to be fair, neither of us knew that Kirk Cousins was going to be put on, or was not going to be playing when we made those predictions. So anyway, the differentials, I had a differential of 21. Wayne had a differential of 18, so he beat me by 3 points, which means he is back in the lead one more time. But
nice.
There's one more game to go. So, Wayne, what's your prediction for this week?
This one is going to be really iffy for everything we talked about. Like, who are the Packers going to play? How are the Lions going to play? And so forth. But I do think the Packers are going to win this one. I was struggling with this one, Scott. I was thinking, I don't know. But I do think Packers are going to win 24-21. How about you?
Oh, boy. I came real close to giving the Lions the victory on this one for the reasons I mentioned above, but also just because I needed something to come back and get you, because this could tie our predictions for the season. So, but I'm still going to give the Packers the victory by a bigger margin than you might think. I'm going to say Packers 27 and Lions 17.
Ooh, I like that. Except for that would tie us up, and then we'll have to maybe have a Super Bowl edition of the Wager-O Fun if the Packers make it all the way.
Or we just do both. You play Madden and I watch Doctor Who.
Or maybe I watch Doctor Who while you're playing Madden.
That's what we call a compromise.
Well,
we have like dual screens going. You have you watching Doctor Who on one, me playing Madden on the other. Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, so our 2022 now season Wager of Fun has Wayne in the lead by a score of 7-6. Hopefully I can get that point back next week, but we'll have to see for sure.
Yeah, the NFC North, obviously the season has one more week left. Packers 13-3. The Vikings, thanks to our help yesterday, are 7-9. Bears are 6-10, and the Lions 2-13-1. We rule the North yet again.
Once again. Some other quick things that happened this weekend. We can't not talk about Antonio Brown and his meltdown in the third quarter against the Jets. I was able to do a little bit more research. I'm sure if you're listening to the show, you have heard of what happened at this game. But I was able to do a little bit more research and find out what happened. And we all kind of assumed it was he wanted to play so that he could hit certain stats in order to get his bonus and whatnot, but apparently he wasn't actually feeling healthy, and he didn't think he was healthy enough to go back into the game. This is actually what Coach Arians told the press. Apparently he was asked to leave, and here's what happened. Arians asked him to play. He refused. Arians said, "Fine, then you need to leave." So instead of just leaving, in dramatic fashion, he removed his pads, throwing them onto the bench, then removed his shirt and gloves before throwing those into the stands and then waving at the fans as he left. I don't know. I don't really care what happened. That kind of a stunt is a very childish and non-professional move on his part. And according to Arians, Brown is, quote, no longer a Buck.
Which is surprising because he did still bring Antonio Brown back one last time after his forged vaccination card.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, Arians doesn't have any character at all. He's going to just let anybody come back for any reason because all he wants to do is win. But even that was the final straw. I mean, after all the shenanigans that Antonio Brown's been up to, and I don't know, I don't believe anything about the health issue or ankle injury or anything. I just think something else happened. And right on schedule, he just blew up. And man, credit to, I mean, obviously we want the guy to get help because there's something wrong with Antonio Brown. But on the other hand, the people that are very good at Photoshop have taken full advantage of the situation. And it does not take long for people to come up with some really creative memes. They are out there like crazy.
No, my favorite is the one, actually, I stole it off of Bill Gardner's Facebook page today. It's a picture of him running down, he's waving, holding his hands up, and someone photoshopped in a sign that says Green Bay Packers #1C with a picture of Aaron Rodgers in the background. That's my absolute favorite for many reasons and obvious reasons, but it was still pretty good.
And I also love the video Jared posted in the Packers community group on Facebook with, of course, tied it back into Seinfeld perfectly. And someone else actually did that first. And so Jared had to share it in there with, here's how the meeting between Antonio Brown and his agent could go down, much like George Costanza and Jerry Seinfeld. It's brilliant.
Everything comes back to Seinfeld.
Duh.
Also, really quick, I just got to say a quick thing that the Rams-Ravens game was a ton of fun to watch. I want to know if anybody else watched this game because I just had it on the background while I was doing some, doing some lesson planning and whatnot. But that game had so many interesting turnovers. It was entertaining from start to finish, and it ended in dramatic fashion. It was one of the better games I watched that I was not, invested in because of my team in a long time. It was just a really great game.
Excellent. One more week of watching all the teams play, and then it gets narrowed down to the Packers and some other people. Oh, as a reminder, of course, Doctor Who did have a New Year's Day special episode. The Daleks have returned to try to exterminate us once again, but we are still here, and it was a very interesting episode. Let's just say, we're going to have a good time talking about it tomorrow on the Don't Blink podcast. Me and Jada Wilkerson at don'tblinkpodcast.com.
I also have another podcast, The Gaming Outsider, and this week we are putting out our 2021 Game of the Year episode, which is one of my absolute favorite episodes to do each and every year. We've each put our top 10 lists together, put them in a blender, gave them to our special guest to kind of determine what our number one overall game of the year is going to be. I'm looking forward to that as well. We're also going to make predictions for 2022, give out some other fun awards for the year, and it's all done with our special guest, Grant Henry, who composed and recorded all of our theme musics. He comes by every single year. It's kind of a tradition. It's going to be a great time. If you'd like to check it out the show. Again, it's The Gaming Outsider, which you can listen to the same place you listen to this fine show, or you can head over to our website, thegamingoutsider.com.
Lots of chants of MVP for Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field last night, and we love the MVPs here at the Packers Fan Podcast as well, because the value for value model is real, and Patreon is kind of the place that makes it work the best. You can find out the details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. You can financially support the show at a level that fits your budget, and we want to send out huge thank yous to listener Dan Dyler. One, get well, get over the COVID the rest of the way, but also thank you and Go Pack Go for all of your Jim Ringo level patronage. Listener Bryant, your Willywood level patronage is awesome and worthy of Go Pack Go's and thank yous as well. And Jay Walters, Go Pack Go, and thank you to you, sir, for your Aaron Rodgers AR12 level support of the podcast. Much appreciated.
Also, we got some Favre-tastic thank yous and Go Pack Go's to Andre in LA, Colm Nolan from Ireland, Scott Bors, Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Jeff Summerfield, and Lawrence Harvey. And we've also got some Go Pack Goes and thank yous to Joe Christensen, Hank Davis from the TPE Network of Podcasts, Matt Haig, and Beth Mentink. Thank you so much for your support. If you too are interested in becoming a patron of the Packers Fan Podcast, check out the details at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast.
And as we wrap up, we want to remind you to please follow the Packers Fan Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, please tell a friend. That's the best thing you can do, is tell people about the show and what you love about it. The Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast is not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers.
And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, our handle is @PackersFanPod. Or if you'd like to follow me personally, my handle is @GoCastScott, and Wayne's is @WayneHenderson. And to wrap up the regular season, here is Patreon supporter Dan Dyler to get us ready to close out the regular season in Detroit.
Hey, Packers Fan Podcast listeners, this is your cheesehead from Indianapolis, Dan, and I have just two words for you. Go, 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 Pack, go!